the word religion has come to mean having commitment yourself to a divinity and a God and to certain moral actions. And all the religions of the world look into the universe and see there's something beyond what we hear, beyond what we see. The two original religions are Judaism and Hinduism. From Judaism emerged Christianity, Islam. From Hinduism emerged Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism. Essentially, what is religion? It's the ultimate emotional commitment to spirituality. Love itself, as a part of religion, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, and then it says, love your neighbor as yourself. We all should try to understand what all religions are teaching and to show how much they overlap, how much they share in common, especially when it comes to the golden rule.
God itu adalah dasar dari semua dasar kehidupan. Tuhan is everything. Tuhan is semua-muanya. Dan Tuhan ada di dalam kita. Tergantung apakah kita mau merasakannya. Atau tergantung seberapa level kesadaran kita untuk mengenalnya. Semua agama itu adalah kasih dan karunia dari Tuhan untuk kebahagiaan hidup semua manusia. Dengan kepengajaran Hindu sangat mendukung agar kita mencintai hidup kita, mensyukuri keberadaan kita, mensyukuri hidup, menghormati yang lain, memberikan kasih kepada yang lain, seru sekalian alam. The truth itu God. When we talk truth, pada saat kita berbicara kebenaran, pada saat kita berbicara dharma, itulah God.
And when even looking back towards creation and at the onset of humanity, when human beings were first created, the verse says so magnificently, "Vayipach ba'apav nishmat chayim," that God breathed an essence of Him into humanity, not into religion, into the person, into the human spirit. And that spirit we each carry with us, regardless of our ritualistic practices, regardless of our tradition, regardless of where we grew up, our cultural identities, our sociological identities. That truth that we each hold, the essence of the spiritual creation within us, is a universal truth that was given to us as a God gift during creation. I believe that that truly informs how we are meant to engage with this concept of religion.
For God, all the mankind, all the faithful of different religions, okay? Of course, they were created in the image of God, okay? And God cannot discriminate against any of those followers, regardless of their religion, regardless of their ethnicity. God loves everyone. If one doesn't practice love, then he cannot say that he loves God. Because in the New Testament it is written that if you say that you love God, whom you don't see, okay, but you hate your brother or your neighbor whom you see, then I cannot believe that you love God.
God, the Creator, is merciful, He's loving, He's compassionate. He knows our limitations. And so He provides us a guidance, a direction on how to live our life honorably, respectfully, or decently. So He gave us this set of guidance, and that is called, people call it religion basically. God is the source of religions. But we people have different views about it, different interpretations about it. And nothing wrong with that, because each head has a tendency, has opinions, has interpretations. And that is natural to have different interpretation. about even one truth. But we have to understand that the source of the truth that we have different views about came from the same one, and that is the Almighty God. In the language of the Old or New Testament, the Bible, it says that human beings are created in the image of God. In the language of Quran, it's called fitra, purity of God. Fitrat Allah, the purity of God. So it means that when you see someone, see him or her as the representation of that purity of God. Do not see him first as a Christian or Jew or Hindu or Buddhist. See him or her as a human being that representing the purity, the holiness of God. So when I see someone, I see him or her first as a spiritual existence. And that spirituality is God.
One of the things that Baha'u'llah teaches is that religion is progressively revealed to mankind, humankind, through the millennia. So all of the world's religions are from the one supreme being, the same God. The things that are taught by one of the, what we call manifestations or prophets of God, Krishna, Moses, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, there are no conflicts, but the essence, the relationship of man to God, the creature to the creator, is universal. When in the Bible it says, that, or the Torah, it says that man is created in the image of God. We don't mean physically, we mean the soul. So that's what makes us, related to our Creator, is the fact that we have the soul. So this is a universal teaching.
I think when we use the term religion, it has a certain connotation in society. So a lot of times people think of religion as a mechanical, institutionalized system of philosophy that just gives birth to rules and laws that need to be arbitrarily followed. And Baha'u'llah really revisits this term and redefines it and says that religion is the cause of order in the world. It is a tool that establishes tranquility amongst its people. So all these different religions in the world are actually impressions of one unfolding divine plan that are being revealed gradually to humanity.
It is Baha'u'llah's commandment to Baha'is: consort with the followers of all religions in a spirit of fellowship and friendliness.
Nothing can be as horrible as the use of religion to promote conflict, death, and destruction. And it's happening. It's happening. There is so much fighting, conflicts, people dying, children being killed, women being raped. I cry. And we need to open the eyes of the people of the world that peace is really what we all need. That is what makes all religions brothers, sisters.
As a Christian church and as a Christian nation, Armenia was the first to adopt the Christianity as a state religion in 301, even before the Roman Empire. So the Christian faith and the Christian identity became an integral part of the Armenian national identity and the Armenian nation. So about the Golden Law, that's the most important let's say commandment that we got from our Lord Jesus Christ. And it looks very easy because it says just go and love your neighbor like yourself, your brother like yourself, and love God with all your mind, spirit, yeah? It looks like it's very easy to love, but it's very difficult. Sometimes people choose to hate and dislike instead of loving, because hating and loving, disliking, is easier than loving. Why? Because it doesn't need any sacrifice. Loving needs sacrifices. And if you want to love, you have sometimes to sacrifice yourself. My grandparents were Armenian genocide survivors, and I am the grandson of genocide survivors. But they were convinced that God never kills people. God didn't have any share in all these massacres, and that's why I'm not surprised that even after the Armenian genocide, despite or witnessing the massacre of all their, compatriots, they still kept their Christian faith, their Christian lifestyle, and they continue to practice their Christian faith as it was before the Armenian genocide. God has never given any kind of commandment to kill others in His name. This is never justified. Killing, massacring in the name of God is never justified.
None of you is believing until his neighbors is feeling peace as you feel peace. None of you is truly believer unless he or she loves for his brothers or neighbors what he loved for himself. And that's what the Quran mentioned. Chapter number 49, verse number 13, it says, "O mankind, we created you from a male and a female, and we made you into many nations and tribes, so you get to know one another, in order to know one another." But then it says, "The most noble of you in the sight of God are the most righteous ones." Now, what is righteousness? Righteousness is not defined by what you do in the house of worship, but how you live your life in your connection with one another. That is righteousness. So helping your neighbors, love your neighbors as yourself, helping the poor, helping the orphans, helping those who are marginalized, trying to advance social justice. This is all righteousness. It's about compassion, it's about love. So this is the most important golden rule that belongs to every single faith tradition.
Golden rule itu bahwa jangan melakukan perbuatan yang tidak Anda sukai kepada orang lain. Jadi lakukanlah perbuatan yang Anda sukai kepada orang lain. Jadi ini adalah golden rule yang sangat universal untuk menuju kebahagiaan. Dan dia adalah dasar dari bisa dikatakan dharma sadhana. Bahwa dasarnya pertama, sebagaimana ajaran kita, hormati dirimu sendiri, cintai dirimu sendiri. Setelah engkau mendapatkan cinta, merasakan cinta, dan berbahagia, maka engkau bisa menghormati dan memberikan kebahagiaan kepada yang lain. Sebelum engkau menemukan bahagia dan cinta dan mengenal cinta itu apa di dalam dirimu, maka engkau tidak akan bisa menghormati atau memberikan kebahagiaan kepada orang lain.
התורה מתחילה את ואהבת לרעך כמוך בלא תיקום ולא תיטור ואהבת לרעך כמוך. זאת אומרת, מדברים על שני אנשים שהם קצת שונאים אחד את השני. התורה אומרת, גם אתם שאתם שונאים, תאהבו. למה? כי אתם אחים. כי אתם יצירי כפיו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. באחרונה, בעת המחלה הנוראה שפקדה אותנו בשנתיים האחרונות, היה יהודי אחד שהאח שלו, שהוא היה אח ערבי בבית חולים, ראה שהוא נמצא בשעותיו האחרונות. האח התקשר למשפחה ואמר, בואו בבקשה להיפרד. המשפחה לא הספיקה להגיע, האח ראה שזה הולך לקרות, והוא אמר עם הבן אדם, שמע ישראל, השם אלוקינו, השם אחד. זה נקרא אהבת אדם. הוא מוסלמי, הוא יהודי, אבל הוא יודע להעריך את האמונה של הצד השני. זאת התמונה של אהבה מול שנאה. ואנחנו מבקשים להרבות אהבה. להרבות אהבה. ואני חוזר ואומר, הדבר הזה אפשרי. הוא לא רק אפשרי, הוא חובה, הוא מצווה.
There are definitely universal truths that unite all of creation. And when we start to strip away the various barriers and these borders that we create, there is so much that we share and so much that is part of our common language and our commonality and our common practice when it comes to the relationship with the divine. It starts with the same concept. Va'asita, to do, ve'ahavta, to love, is incumbent on the person. It is not incumbent upon God. It is not incumbent on all of humanity. It is incumbent upon you, the single person, the single voice that has the capacity to create love, that has the capacity to create good, that has the capacity to create that which is right and just. And that rests solely on our individual shoulders. And when we shoulder that responsibility and when we take the opportunity for that responsibility, what is possible and what we can create and the camaraderie and the friendship and the society that we can create together, dictated by those values of love and do, because I am the single responsible voice in that, what's possible is truly magical in the creation and in the sustaining of a value-driven society.
In our family, we had on the wall a little art piece that was the golden rule in all of the religions. And you know, each of the religions was depicted in a beautiful way, and that hung on our wall in our house all through our children's childhood. So we very much were raising them in that context, and you know, making sure that they understood that when God has spoken to all of the people through all of the millennia, that this principle has always been there. One of my favorite little snippets from the Baha'i scriptures is, let deeds, not words, be your adorning. You must be a person of faith, but it has to find an expression in deeds, in what you do.
And this golden rule is our spiritual heritage that really shows that our identity as human being is basically the same. Our spiritual identity is same. All other aspects of our identity are transitory because soul has no gender. Soul is not Indian or American. But the attributes of the soul, like kindness, justice, humility, honesty, can be part of my soul and it's eternal, and it can also be part of David's soul and it's eternal. So what really unites us is our spiritual heritage, is our eternal identity. And if we can focus on our spiritual identity, we will really recognize everybody as part of the same family. And as Baha'u'llah has said, we are the fruits of one tree and the leaves of one branch. Let not a man glory himself that he loveth his country. Let him glory that he loveth the whole mankind.
If you fall into the trap of thinking that you have a corner on truth, and you forget that the golden rule is in all of the other world's religions, it's not going to work. We all have to realize that all of the world's faiths possess this gem. And it's perfectly fine if a Hindu has that gem, or a Muslim has that gem, or a Jew has that gem, or a Druze has that gem. It's still the same gem, and it's still beautiful.
All religions are founded in the concept of the golden rule. But we must be realistic. Individuals exist who oppose the golden rule, or who don't live by it. In our world, we have produced a Hitler. We produced a Mussolini. We produced a Pol Pot. And most people are often misled by such individuals. So we must, while we respect the golden rule, while we believe in the golden rule, while we want to promote the golden rule, we must try to find a way whereby all young people, as they grow up learning the golden rule, respecting it, adhering to it, so that none of them go by the wayside, away from principle that we are all human, we must love each other, we must respect each other, we must follow the golden rule.
Baha'u'llah said that all parents have the obligation to educate their children. And then he said, if you cannot afford to educate all the children in your family, educate the girls first. because the girls are the first teachers of the next generation. So we believe that the role of women assuming their rightful place in this world order is essential and is a key component to achieving world peace. So we guys, we have to just forget this male-dominated history that we have and recognize that the real key to the future is educating women and then bringing women into the full participation in the discourse of human affairs. For many Baha'i parents, the process starts before the child is even born. As soon as the child is, you're aware that there's a child on the way, many of the Baha'i parents start saying prayers right then, because we want to influence that soul and call for blessings on that soul from the get-go. So this is a process of planting this seed of understanding and faith and awareness right from the earliest age. You're talking about sharing. And if you've ever raised a toddler, you know that's a big one. So you have to talk about it. Mercy, justice, compassion, all of these simple principles that really, when you get right down to it, they're the foundation of civilization.
These concepts are conveyed through songs, through stories. So from childhood, if you are listening to the song, we are flowers of one garden, we are leaves of one tree, we are the drops of one ocean, man is one, can't you see, the world is but one country, so powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. These thoughts really get ingrained in your mind. And that's why education during childhood is so important, because it stays with you for the rest of your life, what you've learned in your childhood. And as children in the community, you're really exposed to these principles and concepts from the very beginning.
And if we do our job right, we help that young person become a good citizen of their community, a good citizen of their country, a good citizen of the world, aware from the very beginning that they're an organic part of this effort to create a global civilization.
Toleransi itu perlu lebih dibahas dan dibahasakan, karena dia adalah aplikasi real dari Dharma itu sendiri, aplikasi real dari Golden Rule itu sendiri. Toleransi tidak mesti pada mereka yang beragama berbeda saja, tetapi kepada mereka yang berbeda dengan dasar primordial yang macam-macam. Sehingga mereka perlu mengenali etik of reciprocity itu. Toleransi itu perlu diajarkan ke dalam kurikulum, dimasukkan ke dalam kurikulum. Kita harus mengkaji rasa, mendapatkan sense dari dalam hati kita. Dan kita menemukan diri sejati kita dan menjadi diri sejati kita. Dasar bawaan diri sejati itu penuh kasih, di-align dengan diri. Kalau kita tidak memiliki kasih di dalam hati, maka sepintar apapun, sebanyak apapun ayat-ayat di dalam kepala kita akan tidak ada gunanya sama sekali. Apakah kita, para pemimpin agama khususnya, sudah memiliki hati? Kemudian selanjutnya yang tidak kalah pentingnya adalah waspada untuk menggunakan identitas keagamaan untuk kepentingan-kepentingan politik. Sungguh dan sangat berbahaya. Peradaban kita dari abad 1 sudah membuktikan ini. Kita belajar bagaimana permusuhan antar aliran yang ada di dunia ini adalah karena membawa-bawa agama ke dalam perpolitikan. Ini yang mesti kita ingat kalau kita ingin memperbaiki dunia ini secara sungguh-sungguh. Bad conduct, bad behavior yang terdapat di masyarakat itu, kita yang bertanggung jawab. Kita harus mempertanggungjawabkan. Saya berani mengatakan begini karena saya high priest sendiri. Jadi para high priest, para ulama perlu mengkaji dirinya. Sudahkah kita menjadi tauladan? Sudahkah kita menjadi contoh? Kalau belum, tentu mari kita introspeksi dan melakukan perbaikan. Dan memberikan contoh, karena kita dilihat oleh mereka.
So it's very important for the people of education and also for the religious, the clergymen, doesn't matter, Christian, Jewish, or Muslim clergymen, to teach the new generation the values of tolerance, of harmony, of mutual respect and understanding, and readiness of coexistence. It's very important that what are taught in the schools, in the seminaries, in the yeshivas, in the madrasas, it's very important, because the new generation behaves in a way that they are taught. If they are taught to be tolerant, to have a mutual respect, and to be ready for a coexistence and to live in harmony, then the environment, the atmosphere will be very tolerant, will be based on a mutual respect, mutual understanding, and it will be possible to coexist together and to live in harmony. The clergymen, they have very important responsibility in reminding, in teaching, in instructing the parents, to educate and to raise their children according to the Christian values, according to the values of their religion. Unfortunately, not all the parents, they behave and they educate their children according to the values and according to the instructions of the clergymen. None of those terrorists or extremists or those who committed suicide with bombs, etc., the explosions, they were not born as terrorists, as extremists. They were not born with the purpose of committing suicide and killing others. But they are the result of the society, of the education, of the ideology in which they were raised up. We cannot see any kind of commandment of killing others, neither in Christianity, in Judaism, in Islam, in Hinduism, or in any religion. Please love each other, respect each other, be tolerant towards each other, and don't do any killing in the name of God. God will never forgive you if you kill anybody in the name of God. God instructed us to love others as we want God to love us, So that's the message that I will pass to everyone, regardless of his religion, of his ethnicity, of his nationality. Love each other and be tolerant towards each other, and don't kill each other in the name of God.
The notion that Prophet Muhammad had encourages people to engage in killings in order to enter into heaven and be received by 70 virgins. That statement, that notion is absolutely wrong. Prophet Muhammad never said it. And unfortunately, being used by some that call themselves Muslim scholars to encourage others to do heinous crimes, to motivate their youngsters to involve in this heinous and evil, activity, if you may say. Terrorism, for example, killing others. Terrorism doesn't have any faith, doesn't have any religion. It's ignorance. In the name of religion itself, I was the person who invited to represent the Muslim community to meet with the President Bush when he came down to Ground Zero for the first time. I was the one who represented the Muslim community at the national prayer for America. It is unfortunate that oftentimes we blame the religion for what some others are doing in the name, which is not necessarily true, in the name of the religion. We need education. Why many of these are doing such heinous evil? Because they don't know. They don't know. I don't know if you know that the first Quran came to Muhammad was a command to read. And reading is not reading letters or alphabets. It is about broadening your horizon, broadening your perspective. And it means that we have to open up. And I think, particularly our young generation, we need to open up their horizon. that our world now is different. So at the end of the day, whatever the faith that you follow, whatever the religion that you believe in, we have a common ground. That's what we call commonality. And this is one of the poets, a Muslim poet, who wrote this beautifully. Human beings are members of a whole, in creation of one essence and soul. If one member is afflicted with pain, other members uneasy will remain. If you have no sympathy for human pain, the name of human you cannot retain. How beautiful it is.
אין לי כוח לתקן את העולם. יש לי כוח, אני מקווה, לתקן את עצמי ואת המעגלים שמסביבי. ואני מנסה להרחיב את המעגלים כמה שאפשר. ואני רוצה לקוות ששנאה פותרים בדרך שמרבים אהבה. ככל שיהיה יותר אהבה, יהיה פחות שנאה. אנשים צריכים להבין שלאהוב זה לא עולה כסף. זה דבר פשוט. זה בחינם. זה לא בא על חשבונך. אם אתה אוהב מישהו אחר, אתה לא פוחת מהערך של עצמך. זה כמו להדליק נר בנר. הנר שדולק מדליק נר אחר, אבל בשעה שהוא מדליק את הנר האחר, הוא עצמו לא מתמעט, הנר שלו דולק. צריכים להבין את זה. אתה לא מפסיד, רק השני מרוויח. אז זו מידה טובה שאתה מסוגל לייצר אור גם בבית של השכן, והאור בבית שלך לא נגרע, לא חסר. אז אני אומר, זה כל כך יסודי, המצווה הזאת של ואהבת לרעך כמוך, שאם בן אדם צריך להבין שאם הוא לא יאהב, אז אנחנו לא נהיה פה. אז אין עולם. זאת המצווה הגדולה שמוטלת על בן אדם. אם אתה לא עושה את המצווה הזאת, אתה לא בן אדם. אתה איבדת את הבן אדם שלך. אבל אני עדיין אומר לך שיש תקווה. שיש תקווה. יש תקווה. כי כשאני רואה את הסמלים של השלום בעולם, יש הרבה סמלים, אני רואה גם תקווה בעתיד. אני אגיד לך שני סמלים. אחד זה קשת שבענן, והשני סמל השלום יונה. הקשת, חכמים אומרים, יש בה 7 צבעים. הצבעים הם בין הצבע הכהה, שהוא הסגול, לבין הצבע הבהיר, שהוא האדום, האדם. הם צבעים שונים. הם גוונים שונים. כמו בני אדם, הם שונים. אבל בכולם יש אור. בכולם יש אור. והביחד הזה מסוגל להביא שלום. שלא יבוא עוד מבול לעולם. הקשת היא סמל של שלום, כי היא יודעת לחבר את בני האדם בצבעים השונים שלהם, ואותנו עם הקדוש ברוך הוא. למה? היא קשת שרגליה ניצבות ארצה, וראשה מגיע השמיימה, היא מחברת בין שמיים לארץ. היא קשת של חיבור, היא קשת של אהבה. אותו דבר היונה. יונה לעולם לא תבגוד ביון שלה. יון ויונה שהתחברו, הם מחוברים לעולם. כזה שלום אנחנו מבקשים עם אנשים. אל תבגוד בי, תגלה כלפיי נאמנות. אני רוצה להיות אחד איתך. אחד. כשבן אדם אוהב, המשמעות היא שהוא נהיה אחד. הוא נהיה אחד עם מישהו שאוהב אותו. זאת אומרת, אם אנחנו באמת מתחברים, אנחנו מייצרים אהבה, אנחנו עושים נחת רוח לבורא.
We need to implant love the love of good deeds, the love of the golden rule in the hearts and minds of these children, or of our children as they grow up.
Can I ask what your name is?
My name is Lain.
And where are you from?
I'm from Venezuela.
Awesome. Do you know what the golden rule is?
No.
Do unto others as you would have do unto yourself?
No.
You never heard of this?
No.
Pernah dengar namanya Aturan Emas? Golden Rule? Pernah. Di mana? Apa tuh? Apakah yang artinya do unto others as you would have done to yourself? Golden Rule-nya? Iya. Menurut kalian itu perlu gak diajarin di kurikulum sekolah dulu sih?
Meningkatkan salah satu karena untuk jadi pedoman atau untuk untuk melindungi diri kita dan menaikkan value untuk diri.
Have any of the three of you learned about the golden rule?
No. Treat others how you want to be treated.
But you never learned it.
No.
And you never learned it. Where did you learn it?
From my mom.
Do you think it needs to be taught in school or not just leaving it to parents? What do you think?
I think it should be. Yeah. It should be taught in school. Teach the golden rule in school.
We all want to have a world in which there is peace, and that requires something like the golden rule. And do unto others what you want them to do to you.